Hello, everybody, and welcome into another Senators News and Rumours here at the Hockey Writers. I'm your host, Matthew Zator, and as always, joined by Jacob Billington. Jacob, how's it going?
Not too bad. It's been Ottawa's been winning a lot, so it's good news. Good news around, but we're gonna get into how maybe it's not good enough.
The playoffs are it's the East is very tough with especially the Atlantic Division. Now that the Sabres have become a powerhouse seemingly over the last few months, and it's very surprising. But I mean, I was expecting the Sabres to eventually put everything together with everything, but yeah, the Atlantic's a bit of a logjam, and there's some teams out of it that weren't expected. So I mean, they are a little bit out of the playoffs right now. Do they have a chance at it? I mean, Eastern Conference in general is, like I say, it's a bit of when you're looking at the West of what it is, there's a lot of Eastern Conference teams that actually would be comfortably in the race. I believe the Senators will actually be, if they were in the Pacific Division, they would actually be in there right now. So, but they're in the East, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, the Ottawa Senators have done everything you could ask from them. They have been on a tear. They're 7-2-1 in their last 10, I think, and they're like 12-3-1 in their last, whatever that is, 16, 17, whatever. They've been playing unbelievable. The New York Islanders sit 12th in the NHL, and Ottawa sits 13th in the NHL, and they are both outside the playoff picture. The Detroit Red Wings are tied for 7th in the league and are in the second wildcard spot. Like, the Eastern Conference is just ridiculous. I love it. Ottawa's done everything that they need to be doing. It's just a matter of so is every other team, and it's really, really frustrating. Since the Olympic break, they've been playing really, really well. Even without Jake Sanderson, which we'll get into, they've been playing really well. They've been getting the saves that they need. James Reimer has been fantastic in his 2 appearances since the break. Linus Ullmark, he's had a couple games that were like, ooh, really? But overall, he's been very well as well. I don't think that there's anything to be concerned about with the Senators. I mean, they're 35-24-9. They currently sit 5 points behind playoff spot with a game in hand. It's a big gap, but those 3 teams, Montreal, Detroit, and Boston, they're all at 84 points. Somebody's bound to start falling off, and hopefully it's not the Senators. Hopefully the Senators stay in the mix, and they've got some tough schedules ahead. I think the Red Wings and the Islanders have like 2 of the toughest schedules for the rest of the season. It's not going to be easy. Right now, Money Puck has them at like a 44% chance of making the playoffs. Considering how the season started, especially like December, they're in a pretty good spot, and I can't really complain. They've done everything that they need to do. They've been playing fantastic. Travis Green has this team playing some of the best hockey they've ever played. Obviously, they're not quite the 07 team, but they are playing very, very well.
They would actually be leading the Pacific Division. So a point ahead of the Anaheim Ducks. It's very, I mean, just looking at the East compared to the West, it's just crazy. This is where you're thinking change the standings so it's just 1 through 16 make the playoffs. You set the league, and there'd be a ton of Western Conference teams that wouldn't be in the playoffs right now. But I mean, when you're saying the best 16 are in the playoffs, that's not true when you're looking at it, at least this season. So, but they're never going to change that.
1 to 16, it would be perfect, except for the travel. Just too much travel. True. You couldn't do it. But 1 versus 8, I mean, Ottawa's still outside, but 1 versus 8 definitely makes more sense, and I don't know why we haven't moved back to that. I understand Bettman's thinking of it gets more interdivision rivalries going, and it has done that. I don't think we need more of that right now. I think we're in a good spot. We can head back to 1 versus 8.
Yeah, I think so too. But that's a whole podcast. I mean, not a whole podcast, but a pretty good segment of one.
Yeah.
All right. Brady Tkachuk has been really good again since with his big game here. He's had heavy criticism, like you guys mentioned on the last Senators News and Rumours. You've talked about it. But he had a really good game, I hear. So maybe he's gotten back to what he's supposed to be doing.
Yeah, Brady Tkachuk brings three really good elements, and the third of which is his scoring. That's not his top asset. He's a physical guy. He's a leader. He drags them into battle. Those are his top two abilities, and I guess that brings him the most value on the team. He's doing the scoring. That's good. He hasn't been scoring in the like clutch moments. They haven't been doing it when he needs them to. He's getting empty net or like a 3-1 power play assist or something like that. But he's just under a point per game, which is great. He hasn't been physical. Last night was his first fight in forever. Maybe all season. I don't remember. Definitely since his hand injury in the 5th game of the season, I think it was again from Roman Josi. The team is different when Brady Tkachuk is different. I mean, they all bleed number 7. He's done a great job dragging them into battle. I mean, one of the biggest ones is a couple years ago when Ottawa had a back-to-back against the Red Wings, and he had the quote of "Who effing wants it?" Like,
yeah,
he was fired up that game. He drugged that team into battle, and they knocked the Red Wings out of the playoffs, and out of the playoff race at least. We need to see more of that, and everybody was taking to Twitter yesterday, and over the past couple of weeks, it's been happening. People have been looking at why. I'm not sure. Is he kind of laboring an injury? I don't think so. He seems to be pretty healthy. Is it? Some people are saying that he spends too much time on his podcast. I think that's ridiculous. One argument that I can get behind is he got a taste of really, really big games, and these ones are kind of boring now. And Ottawa's in the playoff race. Every game is a big game, but it doesn't have the same stakes as the goal penalty game. That could make sense. The travel was tough between going to the Olympics and all that stuff. Took some rebound time. I mean, we didn't really see that with Jake Sanderson, though, so I don't know. Whatever it is, I hope it's a thing of the past. Last night against the Islanders, he had a huge game. He fought right off the face-off against Anders Lee, and then 12 seconds left, or 11.1, it said on the clock, he got the game-winning goal. And that was huge points for them. Nice to see them knock the Islanders, because the Islanders are within the wild card race too, so take some points from them. Fantastic. But Brady Tkachuk needs to be Brady Tkachuk. He can't just be a good point-per-game winger. That's not where he brings the most value. Either way, with his contract, like, there's no concerns about his contract. There's no concerns. The team would just have to build themselves differently if he isn't going to get back to the Brady Tkachuk we all got to love and know.
It's true. I mean, he's the heartbeat of the Senators, right? And then where they go, and if he's on, the whole team really benefits from it. So if they do end up making the playoffs, he's going to be a big part of that. And I would love to see him in the playoffs, because I think he would just thrive in those types of games, especially way he's been playing since he started his career, right? So, all right, you mentioned Jake Sanderson. He's he's probably their best. Well, he is their best defenseman. Thomas Chabot has done an okay job in his absence, leading the way. I mean, he was the leader before Sanderson came along. Overall, how has it looked without basically their anchor right now?
Yeah, there was one of those JFresh charts going around the other day, and it was showing Thomas Chabot in the bottom right corner. And what the bottom right corner was it was negative team save percentage and positive team shooting percentage. So when he's on the ice, somebody's going to score.
Yeah.
Couldn't tell you which team, but somebody's going to score. And it's kind of like the Evan Bouchard effect. It's not necessarily his fault, but he's getting a lot of flack for it. Obviously, Bouchard is a much better defenseman than Thomas Chabot is in 2026. But Chabot has been doing a better job on the defensive side than he did in his first 7 seasons or whatever. He's stepped up big time in the last 3 seasons. He's filled in that role really well. you certainly would like to have Sanderson back. He did a better job of it. But yeah, I have no complaints about Thomas Chabot at all. But the one player who has stood out the most to me in Sanderson's absence is Jordan Spence. So he's a upcoming RFA. No idea what that contract is going to look like. But if Steve Stais can get him locked in at a reasonable number for a long-term deal, I think it would make perfect sense. So thank you to the Zoomcast for all these stats. But in the 6 games that Sanderson has missed, Jordan Spence ranks second in ice time on the Senators, first in Corsi for percentage at 68.8. They're dominating possession and shot attempts. Expected goals for, he sits 4th. And this is the whole team. This isn't just defensemen. At 3.89 goals for per 60 expected goals for. 1.57 expected goals against per 60. Now, the Senators have been a great defensive team all season, but that number is unbelievable. And that brings his expected goals for percentage to 71.3%. Like that's unreal. And he's been sheltered in the bottom pair. If you look at like Money Puck and sort them by like which defensive pairs have been the best, it's all 3 pairs. So it's Tyler Clevin, Thomas Chabot, and Jake Sanderson on the left, and then Jordan Spence is on the right of all 3 of them. He has having a true coming out party in this stint without Jake Sanderson. And the need for a top 4 defenseman might be going away now that they're giving him a chance to kind of show what he is. I mean, we saw they were interested in Mackenzie Weegar. Colton Parayko has been talked about. A couple other right shot defensemen that isn't going to happen. There might be one that comes out of the blue, but none of the guys that were rumored seem like it's going to happen, except for maybe Ristolainen. Jordan Spence might be the answer. I've loved what he's brought to the Senators. He's been great with Tyler Clevin. Like, that's been a good third pair. Now that he's in a bigger role, he's playing even better. So I'm quite happy with the Senators' defense moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, you add Sanderson back in there, it's actually a pretty good group. And we hadn't said, I mean, at the beginning of the season, we were talking about the defense, and it's a better group than before. And now that, like you say, Spence has become he's become better since. And sometimes that happens when a big guy goes out and other guys are brought into those minutes. And I can go the other way too, where, they start getting overwhelmed. But it looks like Spence is kind of taking that and showing what he can do. And probably the reason why the Senators brought him in the first place. Yeah. All right, moving on to a newer face since the trade deadline, Warren Foegele. He's played 7 games now with the team. Pretty good sample size to see how he's played. What has he brought to the Senators in these first bunch of games?
So I was kind of shocked to see him on the 4th line. He's been listed there for every game, all 7 games. He's played quite well in that position, so you don't really necessarily need to change anything. He's got 3 big goals. Every goal that he scored so far is huge. He's got 1 assist, so he's got 4 points in 7 games. Considering that you traded a 2nd-round pick for him and then swapped thirds, that's pretty good production. And considering that he's also the penalty killer, he's done very, very well on the penalty kill. I like everything that he has brought to the Senators. He skates well. He battles very, very hard, which is really impressive. And I'm just bringing up his game logs here. He's doing this he's averaging about 11 and a half minutes. And he's been very, very impressive in that time. And he's just fit in really well on the 4th line, like him and Lars Eller. And then there's been a couple players rotating on that 4th line, but him and Lars Eller have worked really, really well. Unfortunate that Stephen Halliday isn't there, because I think Foegele and Halliday could work really well. There's been a bit more offensive upside. I'm surprised that Foegele hasn't been in a top 6 role. He has that skill, and he's shown that he has that skill, but it's working so well. Everything's working very well with the Senators forward group right now. You don't really want to mess that up, but in his 7 games with Ottawa, he's been fantastic. So
yeah, I mean, the Senators didn't do a ton at the deadline. I mean, Foegele kind of brought him was pretty much the biggest move that they made. I know sometimes it's those deals that make the biggest difference, and in those big blockbuster type trades. And it could end up being something that helps them. I mean, hopefully makes the playoffs, but and he's shown that he's really good in the playoffs as well. So that's someone that could really help if they do make it there. All right. Well, I mean, Senators will hopefully be talking about the playoffs in the next video and them closing in on a playoff spot. But thanks, Jacob, for coming on as always. For being not the host, or you've been in both chairs. But yeah, we'll hopefully be talking about the playoffs. Make sure to check out everything at thehockeyriders.com. We've got great articles throughout the site and more to come. The draft is just pretty much, I mean, it's coming up really quickly as well. So, I mean, hopefully that's not the focus for the Senators. So we'll be talking about the playoffs first, but
we don't need to wait for the draft lottery. We already know they're 30 seconds. So we can start looking at that whenever.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I check all that out. Check out the Substack newsletter if you haven't subscribed. That'll keep you up to date on all Senator stuff and all of our other videos on the YouTube channel. But until our next one, we will see you next time.